May 6, 1937. A giant airship, the Hindenburg, hovers over the airfield in Lakehurst, the pinnacle of technological advancement of its era, a symbol of German aviation. The passengers calmly await landing, unaware that in just a few moments, this scene will change forever. A flash. Flames engulf the airship in a matter of seconds. Panic, screams, desperate attempts to escape. The instant destruction of the largest flying machine in history marked the end of an entire era. But to understand how humanity arrived at this moment, we need to go back to the very beginning of airship development.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Your support helps the channel grow and motivates me to create even more amazing videos for you.
The idea of a controllable aerostat emerged back in the 18th century when the Montgolfier brothers launched the first hot air balloons. But hot air balloons were uncontrollable, and scientists began searching for ways to create a flying machine that could be directed where needed. The first airships capable of this appeared in the 19th century. They used a gas lighter than air, usually hydrogen, and were equipped with steam or gasoline engines. However, due to their weak construction and unreliable engines, they could not compete with other types of transport. A real breakthrough in the development of airships occurred at the beginning of the 20th century, thanks to the German Count Ferdinand von Zeppelin. Ferdinand Adolf Heinrich August Graf von Zeppelin was born on July 8, 1838, in the city of Constance, Germany, into a noble aristocratic family with long-standing military traditions. His youth was spent at the military academy, and later he joined the army of Württemberg. His career promised to be brilliant, but Zeppelin's true interest lay not only in military affairs. During the Civil War in the United States in 1863, he was there as a military observer and saw for the first time how balloons were used for reconnaissance. This discovery fascinated him so much that, upon returning to Europe, he began to study the possibilities of creating a more advanced flying apparatus. However, war once again drew him into combat. He took part in the Austro-Prussian War of 1866 and later in the Franco-Prussian War of 1870–71. For his merits, he was awarded the rank of lieutenant general, but in 1890 he was forced to retire due to conflicts with the leadership. Having lost his military career, he fully immersed himself in developing his own airship project. In 1900, he built the first rigid airship, the LZ-1, which took to the skies on July 2nd of that same year. Despite technical shortcomings, it was a true breakthrough. The main feature of this design was the metal framework, which maintained the shape of the craft even if gas was lost. Unlike previous models, the new airship was much more stable, could carry passengers, and travel long distances. His airships quickly gained popularity and became the first commercially successful aircraft. In 1910, Zeppelin founded the company Deutsche Luftschifffahrts AG, the world's first commercial airline. It operated regular passenger flights across Germany and other European countries, and by 1914, its airships had completed over 1,500 flights, carrying about 35,000 passengers without a single fatality. With the outbreak of the First World War, airships took on a new role, a military one. Germany actively used Zeppelins for reconnaissance, patrolling maritime areas, and even for bombing missions. Airships could ascend to altitudes of over 3,000 meters, making them unreachable for most fighter planes of that era. German air raids on London and Paris during the First World War became some of the first strategic bombings in history. They caused panic among the civilian population, as these flying giants dropped explosives directly onto residential areas. Despite their effectiveness in the early years of the war, Zeppelins had critical shortcomings. They were extremely vulnerable to anti-aircraft artillery and the new high-speed fighter planes. By 1918, the British military had learned to shoot them down using incendiary bullets, which pierced the airship's envelope and ignited the hydrogen. This led to catastrophic explosions in the air. Eventually, the Germans were forced to reduce the use of airships in military operations, focusing instead on the development of airplanes. Ferdinand von Zeppelin did not live to see the heyday of his creation. He died on March 8, 1917, at the age of 78, without seeing his airships being used for transatlantic flights. But his ideas outlived him. After the war, interest in airships did not fade. On the contrary, a new era of their development began, particularly for transatlantic transportation. In 1924, the American airship ZR-3 Los Angeles, built in Germany, made the first non-stop flight across the Atlantic Ocean. And in 1928, the Zeppelin Company created the LZ-127 Graf Zeppelin, which became the most successful airship of its time. It operated consistent and scheduled commercial flights between Europe and America, and also completed a monumental journey entirely around the globe in 1929, successfully demonstrating to the world that these massive airships could effectively compete with ocean liners, in terms of both travel speed and luxurious passenger comfort. Thus, airships evolved from experimental designs into a fully fledged mode of transportation, capable of carrying hundreds of people and cargo over long distances. But their fate remained threatened due to safety issues, which became especially apparent during the Hindenburg tragedy in 1937. The LZ-129. Hindenburg was the largest and most advanced airship in the world, a symbol of Germany's ambitions in the field of air transport. It was 245 meters long, with a volume exceeding 200,000 cubic meters. It was a true airliner, capable of carrying 72 passengers in luxurious conditions. Inside, there were comfortable cabins, decorated in a refined style with cozy sleeping berths and windows, a rare luxury for aircraft of that era. Passengers were offered a restaurant with exquisite cuisine, a lounge area with large panoramic windows, and even a smoking room, a specially isolated space where, despite the presence of explosive gas, smoking was permitted. The Hindenburg was equipped with 4 Daimler-Benz diesel engines, which allowed it to reach speeds of up to 135 kilometers per hour and continuously cover distances of over 14,000 kilometers. This made it a serious competitor to ocean liners. The flight between Germany and the United States of America took only 2.5 days, twice as fast as a sea voyage. During its operation, the Hindenburg made dozens of successful flights between Europe and America, carrying hundreds of passengers, including politicians, celebrities, and businessmen. In 1936, it even flew to the Olympic Games in Berlin, showcasing the grandeur of the Third Reich. The enormous airship was a true technical marvel and the embodiment of German aviation ambitions. However, the greatest problem of the airship lay in the choice of gas for lift. Initially, it was planned to use helium, a safe, non-flammable gas. However, the only global supplier of helium at that time was the United States of America, which, anticipating the growing threat from Nazi Germany, banned its export. Because of this, German engineers were forced to use hydrogen, an extremely light but highly explosive gas. This decision significantly increased the risk of fire. On May 6, 1937, the Hindenburg was completing another transatlantic flight, approaching the naval base in Lakehurst, New Jersey. The weather was unfavorable. Strong winds and high humidity made the landing difficult. However, as the airship was preparing to dock, flames broke out at its tail section. The fire spread in less than a minute, instantly engulfing the entire structure. Dozens of journalists and cameramen captured the horrific scene. Footage of the burning airship instantly spread around the world, becoming one of the first major disaster reports in the media. The legendary phrase of radio commentator Herbert Morrison, "Oh, the humanity," captured the horror of the eyewitnesses. The causes of the Hindenburg tragedy remain the subject of debate and research, even decades after the disaster. The most common theory is related to static electricity. The airship was flying in unfavorable weather conditions through a thunderstorm front, which could have led to a buildup of charge on its surface. It is believed that when the vessel approached the mooring mast, a spark could have occurred between it and the ground, which ignited the highly flammable hydrogen. Another possible cause is a hydrogen leak. According to this theory, due to strong winds and tension, the airship's envelope could have been damaged even before landing, which led to an undetected gas leak. Additionally, the envelope was coated with a special paint containing iron and aluminum oxides, materials used in the production of explosives. There is a theory that this very coating could have ignited first, and only then did the hydrogen catch fire. Some researchers have suggested the possibility of sabotage. At that time, relations between Germany and the United States were tense, and the Hindenburg itself held propaganda significance for the Nazi regime. Suspicions arose that explosives might have been planted on board, or that someone had deliberately damaged the envelope, causing a gas leak. However, no evidence supporting this theory was found, and it gradually lost popularity among historians. After the disaster, an investigation was conducted, but due to the rapid ignition and the lack of modern analytical methods, the exact cause could not be determined. In any case, the tragedy was the result of a fatal combination of technical shortcomings, the risky choice of hydrogen instead of helium, and unfavorable circumstances during landing. In this terrible disaster, 36 people lost their lives, including one member of the ground crew. The Hindenburg disaster became the symbolic end of the era of passenger airships. Although they continued to be used for military and cargo transport, trust in them was irreversibly lost. People realized that traditional airplanes, despite their limitations, were much safer and more reliable. Despite the Hindenburg tragedy, the idea of airships did not disappear. Modern technologies make it possible to create safer models. The new airships use helium, have an improved envelope, and digital controls. Among the promising projects is the Airlander 10, which combines features of both an airplane and an airship. It is being considered as an environmentally friendly alternative to airplanes for cargo transport and tourism. Airships can be used for environmental monitoring, transporting goods to hard-to-reach regions, and even as part of future space programs. Although airships no longer hold the place they once did, they may yet return to the aviation of the future, this time safer and more efficient. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, and share it with your friends.